What is a true fact that sounds like a conspiracy theory? The dolphin LSD experiment. NASA put a woman in a room that was flooded up to her hips and let a dolphin loose in there to live with her in order to attempt to teach the dolphin to speak English, and LSD was later used on the dolphin to see if it had some kind of reaction and if it affected its speech lessons. Johnson & Johnson knew there was asbestos in baby powder for 40 years. The reason only the orange variety of carrots is widely available is because the Dutch like the color orange. They leverage their powerful trade networks to make it so. Project Azorian. Project Azorian was a US Central Intelligence Agency (CIA) project to recover the sunken Soviet submarine K-129 from the Pacific Ocean floor in 1974, using the purpose-built ship Glomar Explorer at a cost of about $800 million, or $4 billion today. Take a giant cargo ship, hack a secret hatch in the bottom of it big enough to fit a submarine, and rig up an enormous grappling hook. Then go submarine fishing. Oh, and US military donates 2 more powerful than Hubble telescopes to NASA, out of the blue. Key fact: 1 and 2 are not only equipped with the same 7.9 foot mirrors as is the Hubble, they're also fitted with secondary mirrors that improve focusing. Yeah. The DoD got bored with having 2 more advanced than Hubble top secret telescopes on the shelf, so casually donated them to NASA. In 2012. Edit. Oh hi. Let's keep this going then, shall we? Speaking of stuff the military does better than NASA, did you know they have 2 completely robotic mini space shuttles and nobody knows what they are doing up there, sometimes for up to 2 years. Speaking of antennas, multiple countries have these super snoopy ships. Nobody knows quite what they do, but a combination of radar, antenna, satellites let them hoover up information on everything from your cruise missile test to your phone call. America, true to form, said lol not big enough at some point and built this. Lieutenant Jen Obering, at the time the director of the Missile Defense Agency, said that the system is able to track an object the size of a baseball over San Francisco from Chesapeake Bay in Virginia, which is approximately 2,900 miles from radar to target. This was pretty highly publicized, but just in case you missed it, they accidentally crashed a stealth helicopter that nobody knew existed at the Bin Laden raids. Any operational aircraft, even experimental, even one-offs, are not cheap. Not even the crackpot conspiracy forums ever thought they had a full-sized stealth transport chopper, only maybe smaller gunships. We now know they have at least 2 of them. Nobody's heard anything about them since. Submarine sonar is now so advanced that it fires lasers down kilometers of fiber optic strands in panels and measures the effect of tiny sound vibrations shaking the fiber. The limiting factor is no longer microphone sensitivity, but the background noise of the ocean. Yes, the only limiting factor to a submarine detecting another submarine nowadays is the noise of waves, shrimps farting, and the like generating white noise. Here's an article discussing the technology from 17 years ago. Speaking of submarines, some of the world's largest antennas are used to communicate with them underwater. Here's an enormous one on the west coast of Australia, covering the Indian Ocean. It's named after a Prime Minister of Australia who disappeared while swimming. The more you learn, the more you realize why some people are quite happy to believe really outlandish theories in this field. Some outlandish poop has gone down. Pokemon Go was partially funded by the CIA and NSA. Mars is completely populated by alien robots. The egg industry as a whole embarked on a 2-year war on a single vegan mayo brand. Do go on. Generally curious now. For a long time, there were theories that the egg industry, just as a whole, wanted to take down the vegan mayo brand, Just Mayo. They felt threatened by the brand, since it basically tastes exactly like the real thing, but without the egg that the industry relies on. It was regarded as a conspiracy theory and there was no way the egg industry would all band together and try to take down a single vegan mayo brand. Until, in 2016, emails were leaked and showed that yeah, they were banded together and were trying to take down Just Mayo. Some of the emails showed that some of their representatives talking with a rep from Whole Foods about how they could easily pull the brand as a whole from shelves. As far as conspiracy theories go, it's pretty mild, but still wild, because it's ducking eggs. the US conducted a fake vaccination drive to find Osama bin Laden. General Motors bought the electric rail car system, then destroyed the tracks. The documentary Who Killed the Electric Car has a great summary of this and other things GM have done to make sure cars are the dominant form of transportation. The Hawaiian royalty was toppled by a fruit company, Dole. The US government did biological warfare testing on the public in San Francisco. There was also the Green Run, where they intentionally released radiation in Washington state in 1949. My dad's friend, born in 1946, from high school, grew up in Richland, which is downwind of Hanford. He died of cancer in his late 50s, just like 3 of his siblings. The CIA has a real deal heart attack gun. It was exposed to the public in the 70s.
Does this pistol fire the dart?
Yes, it does. Potentially would be able to enter the target without perception.
Reach the person, it would melt inside them, and the only thing would be like one little tiny red dot on their body. There wouldn't be a needle left or anything like that in the person.
But also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy?
Yes.
It's entirely possible to receive your tax forms pre-filled by the US government. They already have all your information, and this is the way it's done in other Western nations. Unfortunately, the owners of TurboTax have paid off enough congressmen to keep it from happening. In fact, they are not content with just stopping it. They want to make sure it's impossible forever, and they are about to succeed. Happy Tax Day. Project Sunshine, in which the US government, in the wake of dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, ordered a major study to better understand the effects of radiation exposure/nuclear fallout on the human body. So an international network of agents was recruited to locate recently deceased children and steal body parts from them to use for testing. The FBI was constantly stalking Ernest Hemingway, and that led to his suicide. But why? Ernie liked to travel to Cuba. Cuba even made a stamp of Hemingway. Hemingway, being extremely popular and a world-class writer, could very quickly and effectively sway public opinion, if he wanted to, by publishing a well-written book or essay. The FBI didn't want any surprises. Operation Paperclip. Recruit Nazi scientists and insert them into key government tech operations after World War II. This is how the world transitioned from the German V2 rocket to NASA and the ICBM in the span of 30 years. After the war ended, we were snatching up crowd scientists like hotcakes. You don't believe me? Walk into NASA sometime and yell "Heil Hitler." Whoop. They all jump straight up. The ancient Egyptians had a pregnancy test that actually worked. During Prohibition, the US government added poisons to industrial alcohols because they were being chemically modified for consumption. This resulted in many deaths that the government justified by saying the dead had been breaking the law. Bohemian Grove. Some of the world's most rich and powerful men meet up for a retreat in California and do weird shit around an owl shrine.
Listen, I am a happy member of the Bohemian Grove. I like the folks who come there. I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about. This is what's called ambush journalism. It's none of your damn business.
Neil Armstrong had to fill out an immigration form when he arrived back to the US from the moon. Reddit admins have access to an infinite amount of gold. This is so that they can give gold to posts/comments they want to see rise quickly, and in turn will promote content that Reddit wants advertisers to see. The reason people in the US tend to circumcise is because Kellogg, the guy who invented cereal, gained a platform preaching puritanical ideas about how circumcision would prevent masturbation. In fact, the original cereal he created was purposely bland and disgusting in a further attempt to give America a proverbial cold shower. Edit. His brother was the one who invented cereal with nutrition in mind, but with the same ideas in mind. The same day the Pentagon destroyed LifeLog, a database tracking a person's entire existence, Facebook was born. Just a coincidence? Nothing to see here. Nestle is pretty much a supervillain. Lobsters can't actually die of old age because they have an enzyme that replicates some of their DNA or whatever throughout their life, but they can die of anything else, for instance disease, consumption, etc. So if you think about it, there really could be just a huge ass lobster like the size of a VW but chilling in the middle of the Atlantic or even bigger.